Imagine receiving a wedding invitation from someone who's been dead for 10 years. What would you do? Tonight, I'll take you on a chilling journey, a tale of love, loss, and the dark secrets that linger beyond the grave. This is the story of Chen Wei and the Ghost Bride, a wedding from beyond the veil. Turn off the lights, grab a blanket, and prepare to be haunted. The invitation arrived on a rainy afternoon, its edges slightly damp from the downpour. Chen Wei stared at the elegant red envelope, his name written in delicate calligraphy. He hadn't received a wedding invitation in years, let alone one that felt so personal. But when he opened it, his blood ran cold. The bride's name was Lin Mei, his childhood friend who had died 10 years ago. Chen Wei hadn't thought about Lin Mei in years. They had grown up together in a small village in Taiwan, inseparable as children. She had been his first crush, his confidante, his partner in mischief. But when they were teenagers, Lin Mei fell ill with a mysterious sickness that no doctor could cure. She passed away just before her 18th birthday, leaving Chen Wei heartbroken. Now, the invitation in his hands was impossible. It detailed a wedding ceremony to be held at the Lin family ancestral home, a sprawling estate that had been abandoned since her death. The date was set for the next full moon, just 3 days away. Chen Wei tried to dismiss it as a cruel prank, but something about the invitation felt eerily familiar. The handwriting was unmistakably Lin Mei's, and the scent of osmanthus flowers, her favorite, lingered on the paper. Against his better judgment, he decided to go. The Lin family estate was as grand as he remembered, though time had not been kind to it. The once vibrant gardens were overgrown, and the red lanterns hanging from the eaves were faded and torn. As Chen Wei approached the main hall, he noticed other guests. Shadowy figures dressed in traditional wedding attire, their faces obscured by veils and hats. None of them spoke. Inside, the hall was lit by flickering candles, casting long dancing shadows on the walls. At the far end stood an altar adorned with offerings, fruits, tea, and a pair of red candles. Beside it was a life-sized photograph of Lin Mei, her youthful smile frozen in time. A deep gong sounded, and the guests turned toward the entrance. Chen Wei's breath caught in his throat as Lin Mei appeared, dressed in a flowing red kipao, her face pale but beautiful. She glided toward him, her feet barely touching the ground. "You came," she said, her voice soft and melodic. "I knew you wouldn't forget me." Chen Wei wanted to run, but his legs refused to move. "Mei, this isn't real. You're gone." She smiled, but there was sadness in her eyes. "I never got to marry in life, but in death, I can finally have the wedding I always dreamed of. And you, Wei, will be my groom." Before Chen Wei could protest, the ceremony began. The ghostly guests chanted in unison, their voices echoing through the hall. A priest in ancient robes appeared, holding a scroll. He began reciting vows, binding Chen Wei and Lin Mei together in a ghost marriage, a tradition meant to appease restless spirits. Chen Wei tried to resist, but an invisible force compelled him to kneel beside Lin Mei. As the priest tied a red string around their wrists, he felt a coldness seep into his bones. The room grew darker, the candles flickering out one by one. When the ceremony ended, Lin Mei turned to him, her expression both tender and haunting. "Now we'll be together forever," she whispered. Chen Wei woke up in his bed, drenched in sweat. He told himself it had been a nightmare, but the red string was still tied around his wrist. Over the next few days, strange things began to happen. He would hear Lin Mei's laughter in empty rooms, feel her cold touch on his shoulder, and see her reflection in mirrors when no one else was there. Desperate, Chen Wei sought out a Taoist priest. The old man listened to his story and sighed. "You've been bound to a ghost bride. If the ritual isn't undone, her spirit will consume you, and you'll join her in the afterlife." The priest gave Chen Wei a talisman and instructed him to return to the Lin family estate at midnight. There, he would have to burn the red string and perform a ritual to sever the bond. That night, Chen Wei stood before the altar in the Lin family hall, the talisman clutched in his hand. Lin Mei appeared, her face twisted in anger. "You would leave me again?" she cried, her voice echoing like a wail. "I'm sorry, Mei," Chen Wei said, tears streaming down his face. "But this isn't the life we were meant to have." As he lit the red string on fire, Lin Mei let out a piercing scream. The flames spread, consuming the altar and the photograph. The ghostly guests vanished, and the hall began to collapse around him. Chen Wei woke up in the ruins of the estate, the talisman still in his hand. The red string was gone, and Lin Mei's spirit was finally at peace. Chen Wei moved away from the village, but he never forgot Lin Mei. Every year, on the anniversary of her death, he would light a candle and leave an offering of osmanthus flowers at her grave. Though he had escaped the ghost marriage, a part of him would always wonder if he had made the right choice. And sometimes, on quiet nights, he could still hear her voice, whispering his name in the wind. And that was the story of the Ghost Bride, a haunting reminder that some bonds are so strong, they transcend even death itself. What did you think of this tale? If you enjoyed this chilling story, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps the channel. And if you love exploring the eerie and unknown, make sure to subscribe and click the bell icon so you never miss a tale.